Hello, hello, everyone. I don't know why it keeps, I guess it's showing up in the room right away. Um, yeah, I had no idea that it kind of, but I guess I started the chat right before. Welcome, everybody, on YouTube, and today we're trying Instagram, even though it said that they only go for an hour and then they bounce it off. Welcome, everybody, on TikTok. Welcome to Simulation Talk 65. The question made sense to me, in my opinion. How long till the chat? No, it started now. Let's see, we have a lot of comments already. Danny, how are you? Ava, how are you? Oh, strange. So I guess it starts the stream, but it doesn't start the video. Is that what it is? That's strange. Welcome, Nathan. Good to see you on TikTok. Peter, Stranger9, Deborah, Goldenberg. Well, so today we're gonna be trying to stream through Instagram as well, even though, wait, I think it's not streaming through there as well. There you go, now. Boom, now it's streaming through Instagram as well. This is so strange. Instagram apparently are a little weird about this whole thing. We'll see how it goes today. And also they're only streaming for an hour and then they bounce it off, which is super bizarre. But we'll try one day, see how it works. If there's good engagement, then we'll keep it. If not, we'll go back to the regular format. I see that everybody's saying, do you think awakening is happening, Danny? Yes, the short answer is yes. I do think that this term is a little loosely used. A lot of people are using it, and I think it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But I'm definitely aware that something is going on. A lot of people are becoming more aware of what's happening around them. I would define it that we're waking up to our actual nature, is the more unified totality of everything. But I think these terms require a little bit more, engagement and definition versus just kind of, what's up, Spormuse, just jumping on the bandwagon. How would you define awakening? Danny, how are you? Oh, and Danny's awakening story is pretty insane, actually. And no, it definitely has a real feel. I agree with you. But I think different people feel it to different degrees. So let me just introduce the chat, because I've actually never done it on Instagram, and I'm not sure if we have a lot of engagement from there, but we'll find out. Yeah, we only have one person. How are you, one person on Instagram? So this chat mostly revolves around the simulation hypothesis. My name is Danny, and I'm claiming to have actually found proof that we live in a simulation. If you would like to have deeper information about my videos on the subject, aside from the ones you see on TikTok, you should check out my YouTube video, which is Dango Thoughts. It's 3 words, DANGO Thoughts. And there I'm going more at length about these subjects. We're meeting here every single day to discuss the discovery, the implications, the experiment, and as well as science, religion, spirituality, and philosophy in general. So welcome, everybody. Once again, my YouTube channel is Dango Thoughts. And everybody are welcome to ask questions, come on and talk, ask what's going on, and the rest of the good stuff. So let's dive right in. What was the discussion yesterday, actually, now that I think of it? What's up, Katie? Kathleen. Great show up today on TikTok. Welcome, everybody. So the experiment that I devised a few years ago, I discovered that if you project a diffracted laser on a surface, let me put the slide right there. If you project a diffracted laser on a surface and ingest a particular molecule that I can't really name on a live chat, you will see code running in surfaces. And this observation has now been replicated over 1,000 times worldwide. I am in contact with some of the leading researchers in the field. I always mention it does not mean that they all agree with me. However, this is a live and going conversation, and there's a lot of fun updates that are happening around this observation. So if everything I said was not clear, or if you would like clarification on any particular point, please feel free to ask. And usually we get into all kinds of topics. I think in the last few days, most of the discussion was around science, but sometimes we dive into some religious conversations and philosophy and the theory of mind, a lot of fun things. And Matt Killing is asking how life has been. Life is incredible. Can't complain. Whereabouts am I from? I'm in LA. Whereabouts are you from? Suddenly just been staged. What was staged? I don't know what is the reference to. Okay, thank you for the likes, guys. Appreciate it. I'm not really planning to open that today. If it's okay for you, let's do another day. Oh, yeah. That is absolutely your choice, Danny. And yeah, your story is wild. But if one day you would like to share, the stage is yours on this channel, always to share your story. Yeah, how's your life? Matt Killing it. Let's see. And now we're at 0 on Instagram. Well, yeah, I'm not really sure that we're going to be doing a lot of Instagram. Instagram is being, I don't know. Instagram is being weird, I feel, in a lot of ways. Very high vibration. Thank you so much, Branch Star. Are you coming to this live often? Oh, we have a Twitch. We cannot complain if we have health and we eat periodically. I couldn't agree more. This is I love this comment. Thank you so much. Kiddies no there. Kitties no there. Is that how you pronounce it? Welcome, joining from Twitch. I'm relatively new to Twitch, so anybody who's coming from Twitch, I'm always very excited. What is our true nature? Is not here, but thank you. What do you mean not here? Oh, is not here. Oh, KD is not here. Got it. So he's not here. Okay, got it. What is our true nature? So I know that when somebody asks this question, what they usually allude to is that our nature is we're all one. But I do feel that the question is a little loaded. Not from you, because I've already interacted with you enough to know that you have a very genuine intent. But you don't feel that when people kind of interact in this way, they want a certain gratification out of that. I feel like people who are truly awake, we're talking about people who devoted their lives to it, like monks. They don't ask questions. They just kind of live there. And as long as we're talking about it, it's always a form of some kind of a mental entertainment. And it's nice to, congregate and be together around people that are like-minded and understand similar things about life and the world. But I do feel that when I hear this question, I immediately have this thought. It was like, okay, do you want me to just say to you the raw one, right? Because I feel that the reality of it is a lot more complex than that. And even though I'm aware of the state and I've been in that state before, and I know some people are occupying that state more and more often, and they feel connected all the time, it really is hard for me to discern how many of them get captured by the memeplex online on the subject, and how many of them actually feel that on a regular basis. But I guess I can throw the question back to you. First of all, why are you really asking, and what is your experience of what you call the awakening, and what is our nature? And I found you scrolling. I don't like mainstream channels with boobs and redundancies. Well, you're gonna find very little boobs on this channel, that's for sure. I'm glad you found this. I don't know if you heard me introduce what the channel is about. I would assume you have, but if you haven't, you can tell me and I can repeat it shortly, no problem. Just so you know what we're actually talking about in general. Okay, let's see what we have on TikTok here. Hey friend, been in rehab, missed the intellect. Appreciate you back, Funkworm. You did tell me that it was not fun at all. But I'm so glad that you're back with us. Do you feel better after? Do you feel that it was beneficial, the rehab? Suzy, I don't think Danny would take from people enough to start a cult. Wait, I want to see the comment that prompted the. I'm looking at you. You're looking at me. You're looking at you. I'm looking at me. Good. Good. I'm glad we've established all of this. I'm not sure what is it that we've established, but I'm glad we have. Sutsi is saying, I join your call. No, I'm actually, I would say the absolute opposite of diabolical with it. The important thing for me is to actually bring as much connection for people. People always ask me, what's my ultimate goal? So sometimes it's a difficult question to answer. I think the only honest thing I can answer is that it's what I'm aiming for, and what I'm aiming for is connection and understanding. My ultimate value will always be knowledge, but I do aim towards human connection, and I do feel that through understanding and through knowledge and through proper communication that takes into account the fact that different people communicate in different lingos and different attitudes, and it's not just the language that we speak. I feel like that can create a bridge between many of the what seems to be fractured motifs in our culture. You know, the caricature version of that is the cartoon version of that. It would be, spiritual versus scientific. Now, obviously, in reality, things are not that simple, and there's a lot more nuance to all of it. But I would say that I see myself as a bridge versus creating a cult. But it's really funny because a lot of people say that they want a cult around it. I don't understand. I'm in diabolical downstairs. Okay. Do you believe in theories where people believe this is a matrix designed to harvest loosh? I don't know what loosh is. I'm looking at you like... Wait. I'm looking at you like at you, I think. Okay, maybe. Do I believe that it's about a harvest? I think we don't really have a way to know, and if that would be the case, there wouldn't be much you could do about it. So I think even in that situation, the best thing you could do is to make the best time while you're experiencing this. I think that's a pretty obvious conclusion, unless you can come up with some way of discovering that in fact is what's going on and maybe do something about it. Otherwise, worrying about that kind of stuff, you can add that to the pile of infinite number of hypotheses and conspiracy theories that all of them can be equally true, because if you believe that, at that point you can believe anything, right? I think that even in the context of something as wild as what I'm saying, which is that we live in a computational environment, which is quite different than saying that we live inside of a computer. And I talk about this very often. If somebody needs a clarification of this, we can dive into it. But even though what I'm saying is wild, at no point am I suggesting that we should depart from the scientific method or reason, for that matter. If that's the case, and the reason I'm saying it is because I'm claiming and I'm convinced that I found at least one way to start talking about this in a coherent way, in a way that anybody can verify. And if that's the case, then it would be necessarily connected to everything else that we know about physics. We would go about it that way. We're not going to start piling up all kinds of assumptions on top of this already wild proposition. It's a very common thing online. People would just say, they string together 10, 20 completely arbitrary positions. And if you say it with an air of enough confidence and you jumble it with enough words that kind of sound sophisticated and mysterious, you're going to amass a good following. I'm not going to mention names, but there's quite a few people that are doing that as a career. And by the way, I'm not mentioning their names not because I have some high moral ground. It takes us down rabbit holes when I mention particular names. I talked about it enough on this live. But yeah, I'm not interested in that. I think that ultimately, whatever the truth is, even if we are part of this unified field, or universal mind or God or whatever you want to call it, there's still a truth to be known, and there's a value to that truth. And I think we should address that truth for its value and for the understanding of the truth itself. So I don't know if it was slightly circular, but I hope there was a point there somewhere. Matt Killing is saying, "You're my kind of people, Danny. I would hang with you in real life." Awesome, man. I mean, usually I really enjoy people in the chat, so I think it's pretty mutual for most people here. Did you ever look into Hebrew Sanskrit to toroidal angels? See, Nathan, dude, it's like you're like illustrating what I'm saying. Listen, truly, I love my audience and I love you guys that you're showing up every day. I'm so grateful for people, coming and thinking that what I do is valuable. But this is, and I would tell you this if we would be sitting, together and chatting. Like I would tell you this in person, not because we're separated by a screen. Look at what you're asking me. Did you ever look into the Hebrew Sanskrit toroidal, right? So you're already assuming that it's. So I happen to speak Hebrew, right? But when you combine it with the toroidal, which doesn't have a meaning all by itself, people latch onto it because toroids they're special from a lot of different reasons, from geometrical perspective and topological perspectives. But just because you put something on a toroid doesn't automatically makes it special, right? You can put any language on a toroid. What is the significance of that to you, first of all? And then you said angels. Or you said angles. That's my dyslexia. It's even funnier now. But what angles are you talking about on the toroid that, because Hebrew is on it, are different than any other language, let's say? And I'm asking this genuinely, because asking a Christian about God is like asking a schizophrenic about their imaginary friend. That's one opinion. Do you think there's something to it and the code? Straightforward answer, no. But I can be wrong. And, the only way for me to know is for me to test a bunch of things. I am, as I'm saying every day now on this live, one of my next experiments is to try and play with very powerful magnetic fields to see if they influence what we see in the laser in the code. And obviously a magnetic field is in the shape of a toroid, so a torus. So maybe. But I would assume that it's not because it felt good. It's because it has some explanation about why that's going on. And I'm aware that you're limited to a very small number of characters on TikTok. But like I always say, you're always welcome to come on and actually, express your point very freely. So if you want to do that, please come on and we can chat about it. Suji is saying, Danny. What's up, Suji? Oh, wait, Suji. How do you pronounce that? I mean, I'm looking at you, I don't think you see me, or do you? No. Well, maybe I can see you. That would be wild. Let me see what we're going on here. I think people really don't know much at all. The universe is vastly complex. We don't have enough senses to grasp it completely. Yeah, I would agree with that as a general proposition, Funkworm. But it's not because of the senses that we necessarily don't know all of it. We can understand things without directly observing it with our senses. That's what science is for. But in general, I do agree with the statement. I think people underestimate how much we don't understand. And that is including the people that want to overlay all the fancy stuff on top of it without actually doing the work of trying to verify any of them. Pray for the world and everyone is fine. Okay. The Dan Winter video I sent you. Oh man, it's getting tough, guys. It's getting tough because there's so many things to check out. I'm gonna need people to. Oh yeah, I remember. It's in my queue.
You can sell this $5 spatula on Amazon.
Did you guys hear that?
And compete with hundreds of other spatulas.
And
wait, forgive me. I did watch some of this
here at the center.
I can't. Just Nathan. Why? Why? Genuinely, I'm asking you. Do you understand any of this? Because I know a few things, right? And I'm sure you do too. But now you tell me, what do you understand from all of this? Because what I'm saying is somebody who's like overlaying a lot of things that like they're trying to make things very complex about something. Like he's not saying anything. Truly, he's not saying anything. But if I'm misunderstanding, please explain to me what he's saying. I did watch some of this video, and I was like, dude, it's like Terrence Howard. Like, it's just not saying anything. I think it's best to leave leave religion out of science, base evidence on fact. Who cleaned up all the animal dung on Noah's Ark? Lasers are deflected with magnetic fields, but if you don't protect the incident angle, you can hurt someone. That is true. Have you seen the giant Angles, pyramid, god, dragon, snake, lady, circle, square, spiritual? It's kind of what I'm talking about. You get it. You get me, Matt Killing. It's kind of what I'm talking about. Can you... Dude, why? What? Why? This is so off mark, bro. Oh, damn. Can you... what do you mean, can I allow someone to talk? Hold on, I gotta... I have cleaned up a dial 9. Dude, this is so off mark. So not cool. Dude, this is insane. No, man. Come here. Come here. Alright, I'm gonna be with you guys in one moment. On YouTube, I'm gonna respond to all your things. Come here. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I should have taken you out before I started. I know. Puppies are fun. All right, we're back. Let's see what's going on. And by the way, Nathan, just to be clear, even though I am saying all of it with kind of like a, tongue-in-cheek and like being a little bit of a smartass with you, I do mean that, like, if you want to come on and talk about it or explain the whole thing, I'm never gonna ridicule you, right? Like, truly, like, I'm just asking truly why this is interesting to you, because when I'm watching it, I just hear gibberish, and I hear somebody who's trying to confuse the audience to hide the fact that they really understand what they're talking about. Can I be wrong? Absolutely. Come on and tell me why I'm wrong. Come on and tell me, like, not as a debate. I'm not about arguing, but like, explain to me, what am I missing here? Let's see what we got. Oh, we have... No, not on the rug. Mac, oh my God. That's amazing. Good to see you. Oh, I didn't even... Desi, what's up? Gregory. Anna, wow. Okay, so we have some audience actually on Instagram. I just realized. This is awesome. What's up, Mac? How you doing, brother? Some really good people. So maybe we will... just so you guys know, the chat, apparently I read in the thing that it's going to turn off after 1 hour. So if anybody wants to stay longer than that, you're going to have to go to either YouTube to Dango Thoughts or go to TikTok to Danny Goller. Or to Twitch, but why would you do that for now? I'm just waiting. Okay. So. Oh, there's a lot on YouTube. Let's see what's going on. So, who is Terrence Howard? Well, I'm glad you don't know, actually, and I don't think you should. Oh, there's so much. Okay, hold on. Yeah, quantum computer stuck in a wild ape. So both plus is still in. Okay, beyond five senses, where we are, hell of a combo if you ask me. A real walking contradiction. All the stuff that you were listing, Ava, are those the things that you're referring to that are related to what you asked about the awakening or the true nature? Or which one? Danny might say that he is very interested in mythology presented by the great Terrence Howard, the amazing world of Hebrew Torah lived through Bashar and Most Changers UFO. Nailed it. Who is Terrence Howard? But to be serious, he might filter some of the narratives of the future to stabilize the spread of a message Much more stable, supported by a tool and proof of quantitative field study. Right, Danny? In the ballpark, definitely. Terence became the topic of controversy recently due to his outlandish claims as a polymath turned actor. Top appearance in Joe Rogan. Yeah, it still boggles my mind, truly. Dog go Beth. Dog go bathroom inside. The literal proof of simulated does not mean fake. This is perfect. You know what's wild? Yeah, I can't. I like so to all the people on Instagram. The reason this is crazy. Instagram is whack. Like it's so bad. They're probably gonna take it off immediately. So this is crazy. So if I'm streaming from an external software, which I'm doing right now, into multiple streams, like so I'm going to YouTube and Twitch, and usually I do X. So today I decided to switch because I can only do 3. I decided to switch from X to Instagram to see how it goes. Instagram requires you to copy their key back into the software. You have to still press live on Instagram, and they turn it off after 1 hour. And I can't actually see your comments popping up on my screen on the main streaming on StreamYard, which means I have to constantly navigate back to Instagram. So what's even the point of the external one? It's crazy. So yeah, Instagram, get it together. What's happening? And Danny's talking about Terrence Howard. He says he referred to Anunnaki, said same basic math rework as a necessity, created moon mining drones as copyrighted plans, attacked the whole scientific sphere, visited crystal palaces with supreme. And then Cool Guy 42 said Terrence is mentally ill. I think that's between these two texts. I think it summarizes it. And I'm not trying to attack him personally. It's crazy how many non-truths can one person say in 2 sentences. Entities in dreams. Oh, and remember the day when he was birthed and even before, etc. Sounds too crazy. Oh, I see. The inner knowing is the true nature. So I enjoyed Terrence very much. The whole show too. It just surprised me very much how others suffer to share ideas, yet here this guy appearing as this and is instantly accepted by millions. Wait, so you enjoyed Terrence very much, then the whole show too. Just surprised me very much how others suffered to share ideas, yet here is the guy appearing as. I'm confused by this text, Danny. So did you enjoy Terrence? Are you saying that he's being ridiculed for no good reason, or I'm not fully following? What's up, Greg? Good to see you. I'm glad you jumped. Oh, you hate the same thing I hated. Yeah, I don't understand why the need, like to overstep your boundaries into a territory you truly don't know nothing about. There's a way to separate the Bible and science. That's why I'm here. I was looking for a spatula. Well, you're in a good place. Anyone possibly able to bless me with a meal this morning? I'm homeless in a tent. Proof on my page. Proof that you're homeless? Bro, that ain't cool. You know what? Let me save this. I don't know if this is a scam or not, but if it's not, let's see if we can help you. Or he might not understand. It's not math. Don't be too loud. You'll wake up the birds on top of your head. You have my birds? You have birds on top of my head? What kind of birds? Terrence Howard is internet smart. He doesn't understand reality. It might be substance abuse. I'm sorry. I'm not even joining that bandwagon. Sorry. I know a lot of smart people said that he's bright and smart. I do not agree with that. I'm sorry. He did show a genuine interest when he was talking to Eric Weinstein to actually understand and learn. But I've recently, by passing, saw like a short clip of a conversation with him and what's his name? Billy Carson, right? He is like straight up a con artist. That's 100% the case. And then when they were talking, I was literally like, I feel like my brain is gonna fall out. So, no. Or define smart. Yeah, I was just there. In fact, I had to switch back over to Twitter because I couldn't see anybody. Oh yeah. So what you usually on Twitter? The reason I switched the X one to Instagram is because usually X is not having a lot of show ups in real time, and I figured that would be a good experiment. But I don't think I'm going to be continuing doing it on Instagram because there's it's just too much of a mess. So everybody on Instagram, if you want to watch the actual live daily, I'm here every single day. And we're talking about the laser experiment, the discovery, science, religion, spirituality, philosophy, whatever comes to mind. Please go to TikTok. Usually I put reminders before, not always. TikTok it's Danny Goller, and YouTube it's Dango. YouTube it's Dango Thoughts. Yeah. Watching Terrence is like watching the smartest kid with Down syndrome. Explains why 1 × 1 = 2, and that everything is 41 and nothing is 43. Mac, I love you. What's your view on the comment I wrote above about the simulation theory? Let me see. I don't know if you're still here, by the way, but I don't know who is still here. It says one person. I'm assuming a nobody. Here's my view on simulation theory. If this is simulation, which I think it is, I wouldn't want to go to base reality because people use simulations to escape to a better place, distraction from. Bad enough to where they needed to create a simulation. I hope to meet you in real life one day. You're my hero. Love from Los Angeles. I love you too, man. What's your view on the comment? Okay, so are you still there? Kelsey is in the house. Okay, amazing. So this is something I said. By the way, Mac, it would be amazing to have you on with us. I'm streaming every day on YouTube and on TikTok and on X usually, and Twitch now. And I sometimes I bring some fun people to come and talk as part of a panel. It would be awesome to have you come and talk as well, especially on TikTok. I don't know if you're there, but if not, then we can do it on YouTube. It's just on TikTok we can actually hear you. So Mac is an incredible astrophotographer, close friend. His picture was actually published by NASA. He took a picture of the International Space Station passing the sun. It's incredible. So, to your question, the proposition is not like in the movie that we live in a computer, but that the world at bottom, there is no base reality. Reality itself is computational, or it is what we call computation at large. So computation at the limit. So the thing we utilize to build computers, the fact that it's possible to instantiate computation in physical matter, is the abstraction of it is computation, which is the real thing, which we can talk about, but it's a pretty complex subject. It's essentially what Turing discovered. He didn't just discover the way to implement computation, he also worked out a whole theoretical framework around it, which is the universality of computation, and there's a lot that goes into it. So I always say it's like the movie The Matrix upside down. We're not stuck in a computer or in a software. The world, the real world, is computational. And we are a subset of that world. So it's actually upside down. In other words, we are a slice of the larger computational environment, which would also explain why when we discovered how to utilize this new element of larger existence, which is computation, it allows us to do much more complex things, which we wouldn't be able to do if we would just manipulate physical matter. It would be impossible to do certain things with just physical matter if we wouldn't be utilizing the element of computation itself, which is completely orthogonal to the laws of physics. In other words, there are no laws of physics that explain the arising of the ability to compute. There are no laws of physics that dictate this. Now, actually, in my last conversation with Lev Levitin, who's an expert in the field, he wrote seminal papers on the subject in the 70s. He's now in his 90s. And I'm releasing the part 2 of my conversation with him, which I was editing yesterday. We were sitting in a coffee shop in Boston. It was amazing. And I asked him about this exactly. And he falls in the, I guess, the old school side of, this philosophical debacle. And he would tell you that, well, it depends on how you define computation, but really a computation ultimately is a physical process. What I think is not being taken into account is that, yes, it is instantiated as a physical process, but the actual thing that is doing the work is the abstraction of computation itself. We don't tend to think of abstractions as the real thing, but they absolutely are. I think it's because we are brought up in our immediate, well, no, it wouldn't be our immediate cultural milieu, but the scientific zeitgeist at the moment is operating under the assumption that physical is the fundamental thing, right? But that's an assumption. It truly is. And it's not like to say that is not to be a smartass. It is a true statement. It might be true, it might be false, but it is an assumption. And I think that at this point it's becoming clearer and clearer that it's actually unmerited to make that assumption. The thing that is actually doing the moving of information that then translates to actual things is the abstraction. Watch 2 plus 2. Your brain thinks 4 without you can't control it, right? The fact that you can't control it tells you that you're not the one in charge. The information responsible for combining this knowledge of 2 plus 2 or 2 times 2 or 2 plus 2, in this case the same, is 4, is controlling the physical unit that you are. So here's an example where the software, the abstraction, is doing the work and it's appropriating the physical matter. So just to say that computation is a physical process, I think is missing the point a little bit. It's expressing itself as a physical process, but it's not quite the same as saying that it is a physical process. And obviously, I want to be very clear, this disagreement comes not just because I thought of it. These ideas don't come from me, but there's larger and larger number of very serious physicists who start to kind of drift more in this direction of thinking. So I hope this was a pretty elaborate answer, but I don't know if this made any sense. By the way, feel free to rebuttal or say otherwise. I love your mind, brother, so you're always welcome. Let's see. Greg was saying, yeah, I was just there. Oh, okay, you're talking about Instagram, right? There's some word salad about Terrence Howard always. Birds aren't real. I think so too. I don't think birds are real. I don't believe things can fly. Oh, I just now seeing, Bob, that you wanted to join. I don't always look at that part of the screen. So I see that you jumped off. I'm not sure if you still want to join. Let's meet up in a parking lot, man. Let's do it. I would enjoy being in a parking lot with you and watch the birds. Let's do it. Oh, I thought it was one of these like bring the money or the girl gets it type of situations where you just want to watch the birds. All right, well, that's good too. I got a parking lot. Let's talk about physics. Nice. Internet smart is not intelligent. Don't misinterpret what say he isn't right. He makes sense. Game of life proves my point exactly. I truly believe in simulation. I saw that picture. Really great work. Which picture, Funkworm? Good night, Matt. Killing it. Sending all the love. Hope you're feeling better. Is the random pixel discussed in a previous life being seen in a sober waking state? Sorry, Jamie, I think I'm not really fully understanding. What do you mean by random pixel? Welcome everybody that are joining. I see that Instagram is still drifting behind, very much so. So we're gonna go back here. Okay, back with you, YouTube. See what we got. You know, it's funny. Cool guy 42, and I saw the word almond, and then I like immediately obviously knew that Cool Guy 42 is involved somehow. He wasn't in the almonds kick recently, and but it was not by you. It was by somebody else. And then I realized, oh yeah, it was you. It was you that started a conversation about almonds. I will mail the homeless guy an almond. Dude, don't be a dick. What if it's not a scam? What if he's actually homeless? We can probably help him. I saved his profile picture. If by the end of the live I'm gonna check it out. If it's real, I'm definitely gonna try and help. You disappeared suddenly. There you are. Then maybe silence in the key charm you back. The good thing about Terrence is that he immediately lets you know how seriously you should take him. 1 plus 1, 1 times 1 equals 2 is like seeing someone get stuck pushing on a pull door for an hour. Nathan is saying, if reality is made of toroids, all elements periodic table could be ancient original languages came from what they saw in psychedelics, since it's the literal code of reality. I'm not sure how that would follow, because all representations we have, including the periodic table, they're arbitrary choices to arrange information in that form. It's not like there's anything magical about the way that the periodic table looks. Look, I have one here. See, the way it looks is it's arranged in a particular way to identify certain attributes of the elements, and then how they interact with another, what families they belong in. You can arrange it in any way you want. It's just easier to see it that way for certain functionalities. Just like, that a flat map cannot actually translate what there is on a globe, so there are different maps for different purposes. So the map, I forget their names right now, but it's not size accurate. You can just test this by seeing the fact that, Greenland looks almost the size of like some areas in South Africa, which makes no sense, obviously, right? So you sacrifice the correct size of it in order to illustrate the exact location on the actual grid, right? And there are maps that you can do that you can make sizes accurate, but then it's not going to match the exact size the exact part that it is on the grid. Now, the only way you can put it back to all the elements together to fit is if you put it back on a globe, because you're missing a dimension, so you're compensating because of that lack of dimension. This is one example where a representation of a thing you can represent it in different forms if you have a limited medium, which in this case is a two-dimensional sheet, and you don't have a way to compensate for that, so you have to kind of move things around. I would say that all human representations, all of mathematics, like the thing we write, not the logic of mathematics, periodic table, and any other thing that you can mention, like the toroid and anything you can put on it, they're just not arbitrary, but there are choices of how to arrange information depending on what you're trying to do. Maybe there are certain things that if you arrange information on a torus, it would be easier to use it for certain functions, but then you would have to explain what functions and why. The reason that Terrence Howard is so confused is not because he, necessarily even doesn't understand. Well, he also doesn't understand the things he's talking about. Sorry, that's true. But it's not even the main thing. The main thing is that it's just a category mistake. Like the fact that he thinks that math is broken because somebody's lying to him is just a confusion about what the mathematical representation is, this is the same with the periodic table. It's just somebody chose to do it that way because it's convenient. That's all. It's not like it holds some kind of a magical power. You said it looks like Hebrew Sanskrit. I never said it looks like Sanskrit. It looks mostly like Japanese, the code and the laser, with some Hebrew letters popping here and there. But again, not actual ones. So it resembles these symbols more than anything else. Come on, recurring, then comes the toroid, screen cap. This is this proof right here. Almond toroid is a middle way, I say. Level of it aka Diet Terrence Howard. Dude. My boy Terrence actually managed to wear the console clothes all along. Mind blown. He's actually a better human than us. Wow. Nice. Cool Guy 42 is premising it with serious question. Highly doubted, but let's see. Is physical a misnomer with this context of computational okay, so it is a real question. That's rare. But please don't change. I love that you're funny. Is physical a misnomer with this context of computational considered? Like if physical feelings and objects are so malleable, what the F is physical? Tell me, God. Okay, so okay. So it's a good question. I think so. The easiest way to say it without losing track of what's real, I think, is to say that what in fact is physical is an aggregation of a lot of quantum effects that in this context, it's fair to call them statistical probabilities of subatomic particles appearing in different parts of the wave function. That's the closest way to say it. And what it means in functional terms is that the world at bottom is well, I'm claiming computational, and on top of that, it's running what we call quantum physics, or at least on our layer. And quantum physics is the world at bottom is quantum. That's no question about it. Nobody argues about that. That's not being contended. It's not a contentious point. But quantum means just a probability of something appearing in a particular region, in a particular frequency, right? But if you aggregate a lot of this probability of appearing, you eventually get some kind of you get some kind of a distribution that collected together appears as the clumping of that appearance appears as solid and real to things of our size. So I think it's a size thing. On a different scale, you might have a different impression of what the universe is. But that's the closest I can get to answering that question without getting into, long discussions about information theory, like Claude Shannon's information theory and Wolfram's hypotheses on this subject, because I think they are helpful. One example that I can give without getting into too much of a rabbit hole, maybe you even heard him say it, but Wolfram says that he can totally see how the weather might be conscious. It's just that the type of qualia that the weather has is so different than what we have that we will never be able to interact with it. It's so alien because if it is conscious, then the vectors that drive its, I guess you would call it decision making or internal representation, is so obscure because the angles of an axiomatic assumptions that it would make internally will be of a completely different kind. Because of the way it appears, because of what it is, because of the scale that it is. And this is, you can see how very quickly this conversation becomes very slippery without, there's like 5 rabbit holes right here. But I would say that what you call physical is what things appear to be to conscious being of a particular scale in the grand scheme of things. I'm scared. It's not a phase, Mom. Mr. Z's in the house, very fragmented and chaotic chat, isn't it? With several platforms and topics disjointed. Well, that's my brain sometimes. It's okay. It's on brand. I'm not talking about periodic table being on a toroidal map. I agree with the periodic table, just that each element individually are toroidal. It's known and understood. I'm on your side. I don't agree with Terrence Howard. Oh, and by the way, I didn't take that you are necessarily on the Terrence Howard kick. I'm just saying. So okay, correct me where I misunderstood you, Nathan. The reason I mentioned the periodic table is because you said if you put something on a toroid, you think it will be able to describe the world in a more accurate way. Where am I misunderstanding you? Or you're saying that toruses are somehow fundamental to every single thing? Because I'm not really sure. Actually, I should probably check this. Hold on, because if you're talking about the magnetic moment for an electron, let's say, I'm not sure that there's a torus involved. Let me see. Hold on. I don't want to speak out of my ass. Hold on. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for joining. Running lower. Okay, let's ask here. So, does a magnetic moment of an electron has toroidal shape? Just call it that. And having toroidal thought. Okay, so first of all, you're right about that. That the magnetic moment of an electron has a you can visualize a toroidal shape. And there's certain interpretations of quantum mechanics and classical analogies, but it's a bit more nuanced than that. Let me explain this from both a classical and quantum perspective. Let's see. I'm not going to bore you with the whole thing. Let me just read through it real quick. Classical perspective, classical charge. Spiral bat. Oh, classical is... Well, let me just read the first few lines. So from a classical perspective, classically a charged particle, like an electron moving in a particular spiral path, generates a magnetic dipole moment. The magnetic field lines created by this motion from a loop, which when visualized in 3D can resemble a toroidal shape. If you imagine an electron as a tiny charged sphere spinning around in its own on its own axis, which is I don't know how to pronounce it right now, which is not entirely accurate in quantum mechanics, but is useful for visualization. The spinning motion would create circulated current, and the magnetic moment would point along the spin axis. The field line loops around resembling a torus. Okay, that's already good. That's a good start. Like in the favor of in your case's favor, Nathan. But let's see from two quantum perspective. In quantum mechanics, the electron is a point particle, meaning it doesn't have any literal shape or classical spinning motion. However, it possesses intrinsic spin and a magnetic moment associated with that spin. Which, by the way, when I actually ask physicists about that, they say we don't really know how to define it. It just makes sense mathematically, but logically it doesn't make any sense. So which means there's probably some kind of a deeper principle here. The electron's magnetic dipole moment is proportional to its spin. Although the spin is a quantum mechanical property with no classical analogy, the magnetic moment it generates can still be described mathematically as a dipole field, because that's the topological shape that it creates mathematically. The magnetic field, so it aligns with the topology of a torus. The magnetic field lines associated with the dipole moment to resemble a toroidal structure in certain representations. Especially, the field lines loop around the electron spin axis, creating a shape similar to what you might see in a toroidal magnetic field. While magnetic QFT, quantum field theory, describe excitation of electron field. Okay, this is important. So, because quantum field theory is basically the most accurate representation we have of any physical theory. So it's kind of like it's predominantly what the assumption under which people at CERN operate. Okay, in QFT, quantum field theory, the electron is described as an excitation of an electron field, which is what I was referring to. And its intrinsic properties, like spin and magnetic moment, arise from deeper principles. The concept of a toroidal shape is a classical analogy that helps visualize the magnetic field behavior. But in quantum terms, these fields are more abstract, which is still not satisfactory. But I can totally see where you're coming from if the representation is toroidal. But I would say, both in terms of what I understand about it in general and what we just read, it wouldn't be accurate to say that that's really what it is. It's just a visual representation we gave it, which brings me back to that's what I meant. It's the same, which is that it's a visual representation we use to interact with it versus what it really is. So I guess I hope this helps. I'm just saying there could be a link to the code you see and the fact that reality is basically a fractal toroid. But don't you feel it's a little like, don't you feel that reality is a particular shape kind of falls flat? Like it doesn't really capture like the magnitude of the thing? A real question. Let's see what we got here. Adam, what's up, brother? Good to see you. The reason why maps are flat is because Earth is flat. There's no other explanation. This is amazing. By the way, Mac, did my answer satisfy about what you asked, or was that just confusing? Okay, let me jump around here. Gonna go back to TikTok for a second. Hasn't it been proven that water holds consciousness? Well, definitely not proven, because proven is a very big word in science. Let's see. Going back, guys, as fast as I can. Field of view having a random bright white pixel. What's the bright white pixel? I also don't know. Sounded like HPPD, but I'm not sure. Sorry, Jamie, I'm genuinely confused about what you're asking. If you want, you can come on and you can just tell me, because I don't understand from the text. Do I think there are elements still to be discovered? I don't see any reason why not. I think they say that we kind of like tapped out from the periodic table just because the amount of energy required to produce new heavier elements, it would be much larger than the larger possible star we can imagine. But then again, the universe basically throws new things at us every few years, so I wouldn't be surprised. Do you think they are really eating the dogs and the cats? It's not toroidal, but 8-dimensional quasi-crystal. Not to confuse it with quasi-crystals. I saw that special too. You're talking about E8. Perception is reality, right? And E8, by the way, is a projection. It's a shadow of a higher dimensional shape. Thank you. I love the t-shirt too. Makes me wonder where the language originated from. Sounds like it's Asian language or similar. Looks like an alien language, honestly. Hasn't it been proven that water holds consciousness? We read that. Bruce Lee, the best fighter. One-dimensional charge attract or repel. Our hearts are toroidal fields. Not sure. I would assume that anything that produces a magnetic field, including humans, would have it. So why specifically focus on the heart? Everything does. This tickled my brain, and I like it. Nice. Spiral everywhere. I almost fell off a flat Earth the other day. Oh man, I'm so happy you didn't. I thought they were discussing a pixel being some kind of signal, maybe from an entity, or I don't even know what pixel you're talking about. I don't remember using the word pixel in the last year. Thought on higher dimensions and how particles could behave in them. I believe in them. I do. I believe in higher. Like I think that, I don't see any reason why the universe needs to be 4-dimensional. It seems very arbitrary. Maybe our part of the space is, but I think there's enough on the table to suggest otherwise. Let's see. Welcome everybody who are joining on Instagram. If you think different realities other than our own exist, and if they do, they can interact. Yes. Well, I don't know if you know this, P, but quantum computers work on the principle that there are parallel universes. Nobody talks about it, obviously, because it would sound too wild, but essentially what you do in a very, very, oversimplified explanation is that you run a computation together. You distribute your computational power with the adjacent parallel universes, actual parallel universes of people like you doing the experiment at exact that moment, and you use the Deutsch equations and other forms of statistical analyses that are kind of not equivalent, they're kind of similar to a Fourier transform that give you the probability of you being in one of these worlds where the outcome is this versus that. And by aggregating all of this data together, you can run the computation all together, which is why you can run certain kinds of computations really, really fast in one instance. Because literally the other universes are doing it with you. So according to, let's say, David Deutsch, you actually can't even talk about quantum computers being real in any coherent sense unless you first accept the fact that parallel universes actually exist. And since he is one of the experts, I would definitely land on where he lands. Do you think different realities other than ours? Oh, okay. So it is a great question. I love that question. Okay, yeah, Instagram is not a big hit. So, last day we're doing Instagram. Anybody who saw us on Instagram today wants to join, please join every day on Dango Thoughts on YouTube and or on TikTok under Danny Goller, or on X as Goller Danny, or on Twitch as LaserX83. Thanks for bending my brain and keep up the good work. I appreciate you, Funkworm, and I'm glad you're still here. Do you personally get signals from entities, and do any of them favor you for any reason? So I don't know if you know anything about my story or my work, but the reason I started all these social channels is because a few years ago I discovered that if you project basically a diffracted laser on the surface and you smoke the spirit molecule, you would see code running in surfaces. So I was vocal about it ever since. Very interesting things started happening to me since. One of them is that I seem to have been given a console, some kind of a computer. Every time I smoke it, I have a not multidimensional, but like a augmented reality computer opens in front of me. And I see them all the time. I talk to them all the time. Am I favored? I don't think so. I don't think they favor. I don't think it's a thing they do. I think I just paid attention in a particular way, so they're interacting with me accordingly. I think anybody who's paying attention enough and allowing the thing to be what it is, it will interact with them accordingly. I think if there's anything that I do relatively well, is that I don't, to the extent that I can, I'm allowing the thing to be what it is. And I know there's this very big convictions nowadays that things are only what you believe them to be. Well, I'm not buying it. I think things are what they are, and you have your convictions of what they are. But if you can allow things to be what they are, you can actually see their true essence. And I think that's an important skill. So I think one of the reasons that it comes to me in the way that it does is because I'm allowing it to be what it is, and I'm not trying to decide what it is. Before I discovered this, I had no interest in the simulation hypothesis. It was never interesting to me. It was very boring to me, actually, and very arbitrary. I never understood why people get so excited about it. It was truly just messy and uninteresting. But I have to accept what I see. I can't pretend that it's not what it is. And I feel like a lot of times people do that. They just decide to refuse to see what it is, and they just insist something else. And I think that replacement, it actually prevents them from actually seeing the reality of things. And so in that sense, it's not that they favor me, it's just that I allow it to be what it is. But there's definitely other people that are experiencing similar things. I've met a few people that see the console now, and so maybe it's becoming more and more common. But every time I meet somebody like that, they always have this like element of like they don't just fall into the the conceptual framework. They just allow it to be. The I don't know-ness of every moment of your existence is very important. I in any given moment, one of the biggest things that I'm always allowing to ride in my brain, which is like I don't truly know anything. I know what it is right now, and I know what makes sense in the context of other things and what I saw over time. But if I have to truly say, I don't really know. And I think nobody does. And the only thing I know for sure is that someone real is there and they are communicating to us. And I think being open to it is the prerequisite to even begin with there. Inebriated. Yeah. Well, Jamie, it's a whole story that I'm talking about shortly in my first video on Dango Thoughts on YouTube. You can find my video in full length. You have the version of it here on TikTok, but it's not the full version. So it's not, the full version is 30 minutes. And there I'm going into some details so you can watch that and you'll know at least a little bit. And now we're working on a documentary that's going to go more into depth as to exactly how I arrived at this conclusion. People who have experienced it often say that when they enter the dimensions, it is more. Exactly. Yep. Hope you know monitoring which. Well, was that are you coming on to me, Clarice? is that what's happening? What has extra skin? Thanks for betting my... Oh, we got that. You got it. Realer than the reality we live. Yep. Instagrams. What a channel. Oh, I think it stopped it, right? We'll see. I'm not going to turn it off. We'll see if it continues. But I think Instagram is a failed experiment. Let's go back to YouTube. And this is why I'm not a singer. Just saying there could be a link to the code. You see that and the fact that reality is basically fractal toroid. I know I think describing anything, like everything in terms of a shape, doesn't make any sense to me. And it's like I don't know. So I think that the description of the only helpful way to think about the description of everything, to me, the thing that makes sense is that the only thing it can be is a function or a rule. It would never be a shape, because the shape still begs an explanation, right? A function or a rule has the potential, still remote potential, but at least a potential of being of the kind of thing that can maybe logically give rise to itself, which would be the prerequisite for the thing that is the fundamental thing. Now, obviously, I think that's an insurmountable problem, which is why I think what I'm also kind of like seeing is that even the high civilization doesn't know the answer to that, so we definitely don't. But it could never be a shape, because the shape is not, it still would require the question, why that shape? See? So this is why you feel a little resistance from me, because like these ultimate claims about, well, we're just all one. It's all one. Okay. Now what? Like what? How is this helping you in any way to do anything? And I know you're not saying that, but like it's the echoes that I'm hearing when people say reality is X. Toroid is an inverted sphere. That's our little key embedded here, or what? That's actually a good point. Now Big Bang is an explosion without a receiver of that explosion. No unbalance at that state, as there is an object in the way. By the way, the Big Bang was not an explosion. Inversion, aka toroid, but toroid fractalized with that observation component of fundamental toroids. Structure feels cool. Weasel said, life is a simulation. Mic drop. It's all a game of Monopoly. But the problem is that the only toroid thing that after a certain threshold it leaves toroid thing. Your cup is not a toroid, no? Or the only labeling components at a certain size actually don't really like this instead of toroid. Where do you think this is going? The code, the console? No idea. We're exploring it in real time for the offer. Some of them. How would they be able to use another shape? Isn't it discovered to be a toroidal, not just a way of describe? Sorry, what is discovered to be toroidal? The universe? Definitely not. You heard this from what's his name? Nassim? For sure, Mr. Z. The biggest map we have of the universe doesn't look like a like, at least not to us. How would you know it's a torus? Think about it. How would you know it's a torus? You would need to know what's on the other side of the torus, or you would have to look at the torus from the outside. There is no possible way for you to know that, because the torus, the body of the torus, you would have to penetrate. So you would have to go through the bulk, which we have no idea how to do, right? Through the actual fabric of the inside of space-time, through the fourth dimension. That's the only way for you to truly know. There's no way you could know that the whole universe is a torus. Wait, you deleted the toroid rant? I'm sorry, man. I can't, there's so many things. I can't follow everything. Nathan is back with the DNA and on TikTok. I'm glad it's funny, Tammy. I have what I think is possible. Wait, I have what I think is possible. Reason for advanced civilization running simulations. Oh, you think you have what's possible? Wait, so can you run the simulations? Because I want to know how you do that. How you doing that? Could it be we are in a stellar SU Ella? What is SU Ella? Could it be we are in a stellar simulation to help a civilization at the end of time find black holes? Find the answer to everything, but that can be, yeah. No, I think they're borrowing energy all the time, energy and computation, constantly from all the world they're simulating. It's basically the greenest system possible. They're always borrowing a little bit so nobody notices, and in return, they're allowing realities to exist, which is a fair trade. You somehow read the deleted part 2, you are beyond time. Oh, you deleted one and it's still here for me? Maybe it doesn't delete for me. Maybe it just deletes for you. Jesus, is that you? Thanks for the gift, Brad. No, as far as I know, that's not me. But I guess that's what Jesus would say. No problem. If it still appears to you, then you could not have seen that it was deleted. I just don't understand how have you still seen it. Like you said, I'm beyond time and space. As John suspecting, maybe I am Jesus Christ. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, we're definitely on 0 there. I don't even know. Do we still have people on Instagram? If you're on Instagram, let me know that you're there. I want to know. Because I think it said that after 1 hour it cuts it. It looks like you're afraid to cut your hair. Okay. Good talk. Yeah, Mula baby. That's amazing. They say Jesus is just a form of consciousness, so maybe. Christ consciousness. Not everybody would say that. Some people would not say that. Also, it's really weird because I see some people commenting about the live feed on Instagram in real time, but the video is clearly late. Can you, whomever's there on Instagram, can you hear me as well? Because it says it's muted. I'm not sure. How don't the laws of physics give rise to computation? Should write a book, bro. Like this. This is not gonna be confusing. How don't the laws of physics give rise to computation with entropy considered? Or is this just, no, we have it backwards, the computation is fundamental? Yes, that. Computation is fundamental. Well, I am not feeling it, to be honest. I can only agree with computation as a first step, as before that there is nothing state. No. Yes. Yes, no. Yes, yes, no. Honestly, that question of like, what if everything just existed, or like, what if the prior state just existed? When you really place yourself there, that shit really breaks your brain, because you're like, well, if you really think about it, everything just being there has the exact same validity as nothing being and then something being. Actually, it's even easier to consider, because nothing being and then something being, that requires a transition of some sort, which is even a bigger mindfuck. But if everything is, yeah, it's like you can't really comprehend it, but like, what else would it be, right? And I know it's so unsatisfactory, but it's true. By simulating the early universe when stars still burned, they can find where their remnants are. Yeah, they can run a lot of different tests, and I think that's why they're running very large number of simulations to see if they can find some kind of a common denominator. It's hard because trillions of years from now, the universe is quite dark and cold. That's what we think. But then again, if there's one thing that human hubris have proved to be again and again, is to be completely unmerited. So I would wait maybe 2-3 more years to see if we can actually know what's going to happen in a few trillion years. In 5 years, we can say. In 5 years. Well, I'm not... you can see it here on me, how that breaks you, no? And I'm outputting that need of integration right here. I think I'm following. Putting away brain paintbrushes. Okay, putting away paintbrushes in 2nd grade, I asked this girl, do you ever think about what you'd be doing if you weren't even born? I guess we couldn't. I was smartest 2nd grader. Being 17 had its perks. Dude. The idea of nothing of everything, glow up. Is it grow up? Oh, we have comments. Delay, can't hear you. Awesome, thank you so much. Do you smoke? No, I actually don't. But I bet you a lot of other people do. Glad I'm here and glad to know you, Danny. Well, it's very mutual, bro. Broke my brain thinking about not existing. Yeah, that shit will break your brain. Speaking from experience. Glow up is a joke as this beauty emerged from nothing. I see. Gives us top 5 recommendations of your interviews on YouTube. What does? Wait, what gives you? That's actually an important data point for me. It's dizzy. Gives us top 5 recommendations of your interviews on YouTube. Which what does? Oh, you mean give us? Okay, got it. The S really threw me off. Like that one letter, I was like, gives us. My favorites are Charles Eisenstein. I'll write it for you. Charles Eisenstein. Elon Musk. Yeah, right. Who else is my favorite? Actually, Melvin was good. Who else was really fun for me? I gotta go through them now. Some of them were a long time ago. Actually, one I'm not sure that it's gonna be for everybody, but I really like it because I really love that interview because it has like sentimental value for me. Dimitri Poffet, I think that's how you spell it. He's an incredible guy. He has Huntington's disease, which some of you probably know. Yeah. Oh, so probably some of you know he's basically it's a degenerative disease and there's no cure and it's genetic and eventually you just eventually you die relatively young and you when you discover it, depending on the level of the disease, you have like 10 or something years to live. And my now fiance, she knew him from like traveling the world back in the day, and he basically decided to take the whatever time he has left, whatever it is, and then to just bike through all of South America. So he would just like take bicycle, and he took bicycle, and he was going from village to village, from country to country, raising awareness of the disease, because in a lot of remote places you don't have awareness of it. And he kind of brought this, it created a whole campaign around him, and there's a documentary about him now. It's called, hold on, I'll tell you. It's worth checking out. I'll tell you. Let me tell you. Search. So first of all, you can also follow him on Instagram. The page is Explore for Huntington. And Dimitri, that's the guy. And there's a documentary about him. You can actually find it there. The documentary is called The Present. It's amazing. And they were filming these. He partnered up with this amazing cinematographer, and they were filming in all these beautiful places where he was biking. It's so incredible. And I met him in Mexico, kind of like in the beginning of this journey of his. And we sit in this little hotel and we just chat. And it's really interesting because he was not open to any of the spiritual stuff. He's French, and I don't know if you know this, but French people are very secular by nature. Like culturally, they're very secular. And he didn't believe in any of this stuff. And also the disease sometimes influences your mood, so it's kind of hard. It invokes sometimes like, mood swings and anger. And now he also did a couple of Vipassana retreats, and he went through this journey, and you watch him now, and there's like, he speaks in all these... I really have to interview him again. That's why it's my favorite interview, to watch his journey. And now he's like kind of like, pretty known, and like people... After like 2 years, he's pretty known, and people like, he gives lectures, and he's being interviewed everywhere, and it's so great to watch, and he's like flourishing. So it really feels like, I don't think anything's going to happen to him. Like he just like, he just brought himself into this beautiful place instead of just wilting slowly with the disease. And yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites because I really enjoyed that, like kind of like this, the journey of like going to Mexico, meeting him in this hotel, and kind of having this interview, listening to him talk. And it will be interesting to talk to him again now. So that's why I think it has like a special place in my heart, this interview. Oh, amazing. Mickey was interviewing him? Oh, I didn't see that. Actually, yeah, the conversation with Mickey was also a pretty good one. Mickey Stefanov. Is that Stefanov? Is that how you pronounce it? I think it's how you pronounce it, but it's on my chat. And then, yeah, I think it's good enough. I can go through them. Title page of what? Oh, if you go to YouTube, Dango Thoughts. All the interviews are there. The full interviews. You can follow the link tree in my page on TikTok. No, it's a joke, Mr. Z. It will be amazing. I mean, one day I'll interview Elon. I mean, I don't think the channel would have just 3,000 followers if I would interview Elon. A senior Melvin one. Cool. The other Danny guy. Boy. Oh, Daniel Boyd. Yep, nailed it. Thank you, Daniel Boyd. Yep, that was a good one. Because it also has a story behind it. Basically, I traveled. He's a researcher who kind of tries to paint the whole simulated information in terms of subatomic particles. So he equates informational particles, like he proposes informational particles as subatomic particles. And we were traveling the world, and then we traveled to the Netherlands, to this really quaint place called Hoorn, which I highly recommend. It's amazing. It's like 20 minutes above what is it called, Amsterdam. And he took me to this basically 600-year church, 600 years old church that was converted to a bar, and it's still inside the church. And we're like sitting there, and we just kind of put the phone in front of us and just having a conversation. That was a fun one. Did you interview? Yeah, so that's definitely another one. Daniel Boyd. So Charles Eisenstein, thank you for that question. Melvin Vopson. Dimitri. I think I'm spelling everything correctly. Miki Stefanov. And Daniel Boyd. I'm sure I'm forgetting some people. There's a lot of fun ones, but these are all the people. Probably my top ones. Let's see if we do this. The topic of this channel is usually the simulation hypothesis. I'm claiming to have actually found proof that we live in a simulation. I discovered a few years ago that if you project a diffracted laser on the surface, you will, and ingest a particular molecule that I cannot name here on the chat, you will see code running in surfaces. And we meet here on the daily to discuss the experiment, the discovery, as well as just offshoot topics like science, religion, spirituality, philosophy, and whatever comes to mind. So that's the topic. Who is on my shirt? Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee. You never know. I bet he would very much enjoy talking with you. Elon? Yeah, one day. Hopefully. I appreciate the compliment. It would definitely be a fun one to... We're actually thinking about potential ways of bringing him to our documentary. Because one of the stuff that... Well, I don't want to say too much. Documentary is going to be a lot of fun, I promise. It's not just going to be about the laser. It's going to be about pretty big topics. Yeah, Elon would be great. A great interview. Actually, showing Elon the laser would be incredible. Of course, you gotta convince him that it's worth doing. Let's see if we have anything. Yeah, definitely. Keep hitting the fact that the Instagram thing is so convoluted, man. It's crazy. We should go visit Bruce Lee's grave. It's in Seattle, next to his son, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know that. That's cool to know. Have you heard of Jim Elvidge? He is an engineer who has written an interesting book called Digital Consciousness. He believes reality is simulated by conscious entity. Okay. Why specifically him? A lot of people think that. Elvidge. So what makes you think of him specifically? I should go visit Bruce Lee's grave. It's in Seattle next to his son. Wait, what? I'm confused. Oh, sorry. I thought there was a repeating text, and I was like, what? Jim Elvidge has a very technical approach to the simulation theory and would probably be a quite interesting guest on your podcast. He has done a few podcasts. Cool. I'll look into it. I think you would have to have a technical approach to it. Otherwise, the simulation hypothesis wouldn't make sense. Jim Elvidge. I'll look into him. Thank you. We'll find out. If reality is simulated, what's that mean for us? Are you my simulation or is this ours? That's a great question. I don't know. I think my intuition tells me that it's just ours. Like people are, there's different agents and everything that ultimately connects to this like unified mind somehow. I've heard another idea that I like. I can't say that I know for sure it's true, but I like it, which is that you are a representation in my simulation, and I'm a representation in your simulation, but we also exist for real. So like you exist within your own simulation, and inside of your simulation, there's a representation of me that isn't me, and vice versa. And what that achieves is that it makes everything very safe. So basically, if you do something to really hurt other people, what you're hurting is their representations and not them. In that way, but what the other people are doing in their simulations informs all the other simulations what they would most likely do in the situation in which you find them in your simulation. So they are behaving according to what they would do in their actual realities. See? And then that way nobody gets hurt. The only suffering you can bring is actually just on yourself. I like this idea. I can't say that I know for a fact that it sounds like a tremendous waste of computation, but then again, if you achieve some kind of a moral balance this way, then it's a small price to pay. Safe mode, exactly. I didn't think of that. That's a brilliant way of saying it. But in terms of what it means for us, it doesn't change anything in terms of functionality or day-to-day. But what I'm suggesting is not just the philosophical proposition. I'm suggesting there's an experiment we can run to actually look at the code. So now that's a much more, it's a much more concrete, but also much more outlandish claim, and I'm aware of that, of course. But if we can interact with it in a way that is more and more integrating more and more actual science, I'm pretty sure that eventually we'll figure out how to utilize or understand the world deeper by seeing this, and then we'll be able to maybe build technology that we could never do before, or one can hope. An engineering approach actually, and he would probably have valuable insights to the laser experiment. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. Thank you for letting me know. Collective dream is our daytime. In our daytime. And individual dreams at night. So what you are describing is Milford experiment. If it refers to what you said in the previous two texts, then no. I mean like including at night. You're completely alone. What do you think the simulation with bubble wrap is geared towards morality? Well, it's more moral to eliminate suffering, unnecessary suffering, right? Of finding out our morality. Moral has to refer to reducing suffering. How can it possibly refer to anything else? You remind me of a guy from work who will never talk to me but has an obvious crush on me. But if he did talk to me, I'd crumble. Aw, that is very sweet. I'm very much with the love of my life, but I appreciate that and take that as a compliment. I understand that, but why do you think the big picture would be for us to do that? Wait, But why do you think the big picture would be for us to do that? No, it wouldn't be for that. It would be just another element you would add into the system. Again, Suzi, I do take your compliment. I appreciate it. And I'm glad you're still listening. You've been here for a while today. Milgram experiment. It can't be an emergent thing of ours. Morality and being kind. No, I actually think the morality is universal. I don't think you can describe a world in which morality will not be universal. Because morality is simply the science of how to proceed next in a way that eliminates as much suffering as possible. Obviously you're not gonna always succeed, but that's the aim. That's what ethics and morality really is. This idea that there's no moral truth is like I do understand where people come from when they do it. I understand that they're confused for sure. Because it's coming from a postmodern perspective, which is completely intellectually bankrupt, and because it makes a negative claim about the claim it's making, because they say there is no truth, which is by itself a truth claim about the world. You don't have a way to know that. You just decided that, right? So the statement itself contains its own contradiction. So I think it's just it's almost like it's one of these kind of like mind viruses that infect, I think, modern minds. But that definitely, I don't think that holds any water. Suffering is not subjective. If I punch you in the nose, again, there's definitely not a subjective thing. If there are more Ted Bundys than us, morality shifts, no? No. I think that good and evil are universal. I think that's where I think they are actually the most fundamental forces. If it's a simulated A, who is running it, and B, why, trying to comprehend this seems beyond our ability. Well, obviously, yes. The short answer is you're right. Of course it is. Beyond our current ability to comprehend. But I think that my best stab at that, the who is a much harder question. Like who, I don't know, like John. Like what do you mean by a who? It's like, whomever is doing it. Like in order for us to know who that is, we need to interact with them more. A lot of them kind of look like insects, by the way, just so you know. At least the layer that is tending to this part of reality. But the why is a little easier. I think it has something to do with understanding the reason for everything's existence. That's one of the reasons for running all these simulations. Also, by the way, if you're still here on TikTok and you're enjoying it, if you can tap the screen a little bit so we can maybe bring a little bit more people, that would be super helpful. Same goes for YouTube, just reminding you to like the live. Same goes for Instagram and Twitch. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. So Milford is so what is exactly the experiment of Milford? Or Milgram? The Stanford experiment? How is this the same? There was also Ash experiment, I think. Okay, guys, don't just throw the names of it. Tell me what they were. I'm not big on names. I'm terrible with names. They don't know the answer is 42. We figured that out a while ago. Well, the answer might be 42. The question is, what's the question? That's always that. I know it's 42. Of course it's 42. It has to be. What was it? How many roads does a man has to? The Milgram experiment showed obedience to authority, while the Stanford experiment revealed how rules influence abusive behavior. These are experiments on conformity. The Stanford experiment, I know the Stanford one, shows how assigned roles lead to abused behavior in a simulated prison environment. Most humans conform. How does this relate to what I described with the people not being... just in the sense that you can't hurt them. Got it. Okay. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, no, it's definitely... I'm a huge Douglas Adams fan. By the way, this picture is... my fiance drew this picture. This is... I don't know if you read all the books, but in one of the books, this is Marvin, the robot, and this is Zim, the mattress. So the smartest thing in the universe and the dumbest thing in the universe meet. It's a glorious scene. I wish they would put it in the movie, but they didn't. And basically it's amazing. So like, the smartest and the most miserable and the dumbest and the happiest, and they meet. And it's incredible. One of my favorite lines, like seriously, I maybe laughed, I don't know, like maybe a minute alone, laughed out loud. In one of the... Marvin was trying to convince Zim that he is the smartest thing in the universe and Zim is the dumbest thing in the universe, and he's like, so he's basically just asking him, and in the narrator of in the audio version, the narrator is also the guy who plays Arthur in the movie, and he's really good because he understands the characters really well, so he also gives him like this like doofy voice. So he goes like, okay, let me show you that I'm the smartest thing in the universe. He goes like, think of a number, any number. And he goes, 5. And he goes, wrong. and then he says, Demetrius was very much impressed by this. It's amazing. You should read that fragment on the chat sometime. The one with Zim and Melvin. Oh yeah, and Marvin. Yeah, I definitely should. I didn't catch what you were referencing though. Is this 42 story? The same books that the idea of 42 came from. So there's 5 books: Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, The Restaurant and the End of the Universe, So Long and Thanks for All the Fish, Life, the Universe, and Everything, right? Yeah, and Mostly Harmless. And I think in the 3rd book, that's when this scene happens, or in the 4th book. They're all bangers, which is crazy. So Douglas Adams wrote all these. Every single one of them is amazing. Just like, he was such a genius. It's crazy. I can't talk about him enough. A fun fact. After he wrote the 1st book and it became a really big hit. Oh, you guys are gonna love this. This is a true story. He got a bunch of money as a down payment to write a 2nd book. So he rented a really beautiful house on a lake in England, and he brought all his best friends for like a month, and he paid their salary so they don't have to work. So he's like, I'm gonna pay your salary. You come here and hang out with me for 1 month, and then he would lock himself in the attic, and he would do a bunch of acid, and he would write nonstop. And then he would bring everybody upstairs and lock them in the attic with him, and he would read everything he wrote. And only when everybody would be on the floor dying laughing, only then he would put it in the book. Dude, he was such a genius. It's amazing. Everybody should read these books or listen to them. They're just mind-blowing. They're like, this is actually Elon's favorite book, and it's definitely mine. Like all of the books are just like, wow. Yeah. What was the other thing there? The time travel thing is hilarious. Yeah, everything is amazing. But there was a particular thing I wanted to say and I forgot, but never mind. It will come to me. That's one way to do it. Yep. One of Douglas Adams's famous quotes is, I I will probably not remember it exactly, but it goes something like, I love deadlines. I love the whooshing sound they make when they pass me by. Same book. Yeah, there's same book what? There's the same, like one of the books of the five. And yeah, the audible version is actually great. So like obviously you can buy, they sell the thick, like the full thing with all the five books in there. It's such a ride, like truly, like if you never read it, I'm so jealous. Because every few years I reread it and sometimes re-listen to it. So like like when I'm on a big trip or in the car, it's such a joyride. It's so uplifting and fun and deep, and like the all the elements are, and also he's such a writer that like he writes in this style of a fractal. He was such a genius that like he would read a sentence and you would start listening to the sentence and you would like or reading the sentence and you're like, okay, wait, how is he going to end the sentence? And then when he ends the sentence, you're like, oh, you understand everything. And then you get to the end of the paragraph and it contains the whole thing, the joke and the wisdom, and like it contains within it, and then the page and then the chapter and then the book, like all of it is like that. It's just like, it's crazy. Be water, my friend. What if you want to be lava sometimes? The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm talking about all the five books. What's up, Divergent Normie? Good to see you. This would be a book from what one would buy the extra decor ones. Yeah. So, anyways, the Audible version is great because the last four are read by the guy who played Arthur in the movie, and even though the movie obviously doesn't live up to the books, of course, but how can you ever fit so much amazing stuff into one movie? With the movie, Douglas Adams, who wrote the books, was actually involved in making the movie. So at least I'm not mad. Like, he was involved in helping them, massage the movie. So they tried their best. And the movie is still fun, but it's definitely not like the books. And which is obviously always the case, right? Actually, probably not always the case, but in this case, it's definitely the case. And the first one is read by, what's his name? Fry. This really famous English actor. I forget his name. He does a lot of nature documentaries too. But anyways, he reads the first one, and then the last four are by the guy who plays Arthur. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And there's a show, right? I forgot that they actually made a show as well. That's true. Robert Fry, thank you. Thank you, bro. Beal. No, Stephen Fry. Yes, Stephen Fry. That is correct. Thank you. My memory fails me with names for sure. I don't know the show. I never watched the shows, but I would highly recommend that you read the books. The books are... Yeah, Stephen Fry, exactly. And this is Kelsey's favorite version because she really loves that kind of like British... Yeah, I know it was on BBC, but I'm telling you that the books... I can't see how you can surpass the books. There's no way. I always love the world builder at the end of the movie. I don't his name, but left trying to say. It's Slutty Bartfast, Fartfast, something. Slutty Bartfast. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's really funny. The whole thing is amazing. This one I'm definitely not going to ruin for you, even though I did talk about it in the live before, but there's, I think in the third or the fourth book, where they find this place where God has left their final message, and yes, they said their final message to creation before they just let it be. So like they created the universe, and then it's just like, that's the final message on the mountain. And I'm not gonna tell you. You should definitely read, because the whole time you're like, they're going to this place for like half of the book, and then you're like, well, how can he possibly pay this off, right? Because like the final message to creation by God, dude, come on. How are you ever gonna pay this off? You just shot yourself in the foot. It's gonna be such a nonsense thing, and then you get there and you're like, dude, wow. He delivers even on that. Dan has no idea. You can say any first name and Fry, and he'll be like, oh yeah, that's it. Jamal Fry. Yay, we got a dolphin. Thank you. Oh, it's definitely more than the 42 thing. Yeah. The 42 is just how the book begins. That's just the beginning, kind of like, that's the first one, and it's also the beginning of it. It's not really the main point. Then you have 4 more books. Let's see what we got there. I don't know when this became a book club, but I don't know if you noticed, but I really love this series. This conversation took a hard left. Wait, with what? With the books? Why a hard left? It's a fun topic. If I actually, you asked me what's my favorite interviews on my show. If I have to point to 2 of my favorite books, it's definitely going to be the series, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and The Beginning of Infinity. These 2 things are just amazing. Ever read American Gods? Is that the book on which the show is based on? I never watched the show either, but is that the same thing? Wait, well, the simulation theory into 42, just so you know, it's not a hard left. I think that he would never say that this is real, obviously, right? But I think because he was so creative, it was onto something. So since I started doing the laser thing, the number 42 started following me like crazy. We're going to show that in the movie, like in a crazy way, truly. I'm not talking about digital clocks. I'm talking about like in an insane way, like in ways that you're like, wait, what? So there's definitely something to 42. 100% something to 42. And so only like in the book, the Earth is the computer that calculates the ultimate question. In reality, it's the multiverse. "42 hertz gyromagnetic precession." Maybe. When's the movie? Working on it, so hopefully within the next few months. I thought you meant you were making a documentary about the laser. I am. Yeah, we're making a documentary about it. Jamal Fry is great. Hard left guy, NASCAR fan, to give it topics he'd like to. When 42 was appearing to you here and there, it must have been an extremely wild experience with such strong emotional attachment to this. It must have been quite a battle inside. Not a battle, but definitely it's like, sometimes when it happens, I'm like, what? That is crazy. I think I shared some stuff with you, no, Danny? If not, remind me and I'll share some stuff with you. It's insane. Like, one of them was, I don't know if you guys saw my video on the anybody who didn't see it, you can watch it on YouTube, Dango Thoughts. The first video I put out about the simulation. And then I'm talking about how I saw these numbers on the floor and they matched some kind of a paper. Doesn't matter right now, but it was like one of the first hints that came that made me understand that something's going on. And they had a particular color. They were, it's Department of Water and Power. They write them down. Apologies because I'm running out of energy, so I'm like shortening all the stories. But you can watch the video, you'll see what I mean. And again, on YouTube, it's Dango Thoughts. That's the channel. If you scroll down, you'll see there's one video that I remember the name of, but the thumbnail is a guy with VR glasses, and it says something like, "I discovered proof within a simulation" on the thumbnail. That's the video. And in it, I'm kind of talking about this first thing. And then years down the line, after I already told my fiance what was going on, and she didn't leave me, and she basically, I told her about the 42. The 42 is like literally following me everywhere, and she's like, okay, well, whatever. Like, what are you gonna do with it? And then we were in botanical gardens in Colorado, and we were talking about the subject, and we started talking about light and why plants are green. That's because they reject green. That's the one wavelength they reject, and that's why they look green. And then we started talking about like why certain plants are red. Well, same reason, but why do they reject red versus green? How is that helping their photosynthesis? And then we kept on talking about it, and there was like this feeling that something is happening. And then we stepped outside, and I remember it was a very hot day. It was like 115 degrees. And I called a Lyft on my phone. And while I was doing that, she crossed the street to stand under a tree in the shade because it was so hot. So then I finished calling the Lyft. I crossed the street. I come and I hug her. And then I look down. And I'm like, babe, look down. And she's like, what? And she was standing on 42, written on the floor in the exact color like that first hint years ago that I told her about. And I told her about 42, and she was like, and I have a picture of this because her reaction, she just started dying laughing. And I took a picture of her in the 42, and she's just laughing. And she was like, this is insane. I'm like, what are the chances, right? And literally in all of Colorado, she stood on this 42 while we were talking about this stuff. And I'm like, yep, this shit is happening all the time. Seen the documentary I Am? No. You want to tell me about it? I'm so happy I've stumbled onto your live, extremely thought-provoking and entertaining. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. I hope you can stay. Saying this before I fall asleep with my phone in my head. Nice. Well, I hope you're going to come back. I'm going to adjourn in a few minutes too, so. When 42 was appearing to... Oh, I read that. He would order a tall Starbucks latte, and the barista would say, "That will be $42, sir." And he'd be like, "Come on, simulators, I get it." You're usually funnier than this, cool guy 42. If people press the like button, it will trigger the algorithm and get more people to watch the live stream, indirectly helping with growing the channel. Yes, I know. So this is why I was saying if you guys can click on the like channel, thank you. No, but I can't imagine already heard you telling the street publication links, etc. It just is so uncommon to not battle with emotions in these cases to get rid of these sense of bias. Yes, well, some of them would be biased, right? So then your eyes do seek it. So this is why when I see it on the clock, I don't notice it. Like I ignore. I don't count these cases. But when it's like what I just described, that's significant. That's not just a bias. She's literally standing on the number 42 that matches the exact color, like the first hint from years ago, written in the exact same Sharpie in a different state. I mean, that's significant. That you can't say that that's bias. I think we can tell the difference if we're really paying attention. I had similar synchronicities, Ava said, with interesting. With what is it called? Clover. Names. But yeah, that's interesting because I think Kelsey had the same thing. But I know this can happen. I believe in these patterns nudging from somewhere else experiences. Yeah, you just have to kind of know not to. Because sometimes if I would tell people about this and then they would start telling me their story and I'm like, this is not the same story. They're like, yeah, I saw 111 the other day and there was another 111. It was like, where? On my clock all the time. Like, yeah, that happens a lot in a day. So, but I know this can happen. I believe in these pattern nudging from somewhere else. I've always been fascinated by how electromagnetic waves don't collide, and we can perceive a clear image despite the different waves passing through these that reach our eye. Magnetic waves don't collide. Don't they behave like any wave, which is that they either cancel out or or amplify each other. What time is it right now? Good question. It is 11:42. Nice. I'll still be here. My consciousness will be elsewhere. Tom Shadyac, Jim Carrey director, made the documentary. Okay. Tom had a bike accident and was suffering from post-concussion syndrome. Interesting. What is it called again? I Am. I might watch it. Thank you. Right now. I know I told this on the live before, but I think it's fun. There was this little shopping center in Santa Monica that was being built. The name of the shopping center, the planned name for the shopping center, was The Now. That was the name of the shopping center. And because it was being built under construction, there was a big sign up in the, above the structure that said, The Now, coming soon. Perfection. Was ready to die after nothing helped it to go away. Wanted to figure out what he had to say before he killed himself. Wait, did he kill himself? Because I'm definitely not going to watch it. These things just depress me, man. There's enough suffering in the world, I know. I'm not interested in being aware of more of it if I don't have to be. But he got better and just ended up going on spiritual journey. Oh, okay. Well, then it's worth it. Unrelated, but you and your girl should watch the movie Annihilation if you haven't. It's dope. Don't Google anything if you don't know about it. Okay. Future is coming soon. No, but that's on the nose. Come on, Ava. The now coming soon is amazing. It's hilarious. I thought it was very brilliant on their behalf. Talking to gurus and authors and professors and stuff. Well, that's amazing. See you, Cool Guy 42. I'm actually gonna dip too. It's 2 hours. Love you all. Thank you so much for being here. Peace. All the secret handshakes. And I'll see you tomorrow. Peace and love. See you, everybody. Instagram and Twitch and YouTube. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Exactly. The now coming soon. See you guys.